My name is Erica Lorraine Spencer, and I remain subject to state surveillance and terrorism by the state of California that is operating a malicious targeting system which is referred to as federal group stalking and monitoring via communication devices. And it is in violation of federal stalking statute 18 U.S.C. sections 2261A subsections 1 and 2. My website and podcast serve the public good by publishing evidence of the public entity's ceaseless engagement in a pattern of conduct intended to stalk and monitor via communication devices, surveil, harass, and terrorize an American citizen in concert with the people of the state of California. Documentation serves the lawful purposes of wide exposure, federal prosecution, and influencing federal legislation with policies specifically designed to punish, dismantle, and disincentivize an unprecedented targeting system by a public entity that acts in concert with the people of the state in order to criminally place under surveillance and terrorize an American citizen, which is a matter of public corruption in the state of California. Notice: intellectual property theft is particularly egregious and equally unlawful where the sole inventor and creator of the intellectual property is the targeted individual. Erica Lorraine Spencer, subject to the unconstitutional and inhumane government system of gang stalking, otherwise referred to as federal group stalking and monitoring via communication devices, because of which the intellectual property created by the targeted individual, who is, in fact, Erica Lorraine Spencer, as the intellectual property also proves, serves to establish via evidence and expose the existence of criminal surveillance and thus an inherent threat posed by the U.S. government and the civilian population sharing engagement in the unlawful system. Such evidence, that includes all of the content created by Erica Lorraine Spencer, images, videos, audio, etc., belongs solely and entirely to Erica Lorraine Spencer only and is necessarily published online in order to protect her life, safety, and liberty as the targeted individual, who is also the intellectual property owner, no less protected from theft procured through targeting by a public entity. Theft of any intellectual property belonging to Erica Lorraine Spencer, which is necessarily committed while she, being both creator and inventor, remains oppressed by the public entity via criminal surveillance, is a criminal and inhumane means of infringement under all circumstances and not protected nor enforceable pursuant to any invalid or fraudulent acts of copyright, trademarks, patents, etc., including as it pertains to any ideas associated with or generated from the intellectual property or the intellectual property owner, Erica Lorraine Spencer, whether creative, business, or otherwise, nor does the intellectual property owner consent to any such means of infringement and theft. (9TDD752). Amongst the demons that are engaged in the choreographed placement of what is presence in my path under the fake sun that is indeed over me at the 537 North Euclid Avenue bus stop, okay, where the entity is engaged in what is gang stalking, the choreographed maintenance of an environment and presence in that environment. 9LOP 423, 7AXR 941, 9AGM 154. If you recall, the fake sun is over the roof of the hotel while I stand in the courtyard area of the hotel, and then I walk to the parking lot side where you're seeing the fake sun at 4:10 p.m. On that side of the same building that I'm inside of, the fake sun is over that building. I'm capturing it on video. So what are they driving under in the parking lot that is not over sharing the sun over Bethel Congregation, where, by the way, the fake sun's over me at the Bethel Congregation, where the fake sun is hanging now while I'm at this bus stop, where I'm there at 10:30 in the morning, when I'm there at 1:13 in the afternoon. That's the same location where this is choreographed placement in my path, where demons that engage in what is amplified audible activity creation as demons, stalking with noise, stalking with light, engaged in what is choreography. This is not randomness. This is not coincidental. It's not ignorant.
with regard to the placement of a whole light source and ornament, while they're all actually demons that are pacing all around. 8VGF 800, a bunch of demons that are stalking in the path while engineer light moves across RAYBON Mortgage at 537 North Euclid Avenue. License 8F22207, 2 African-American males operating that truck. Looks like an F-150. It's raggedy and it's dark gray. And the demons that are walking their dogs, the minors that are purchasing their drinks from Starbucks while they're pacing, and they're engaging in what is the state's pattern of conduct, the choreographed maintenance of that environment, and of those people who are all demons sharing in what is that pattern of conduct. That's what's relevant. That choreography is shared with the Ontario Police Department, who maintain helicopter activity over that hotel room, as I'm capturing it at the Ontario Airport Inn at 12:22 in the afternoon. That fake sun doesn't move. It remains over that hotel room where I'm in room 245, where the entity is maintaining ongoing plane activity. That choreography is shared with the demons that are stalking in the parking lot of the Stater Brothers, where they're as though they're taking off in perfect alignment with my room 245 at 1801 East G Street. The entities engaging in that while the fake sun is over that roof. Southwest Airlines in particular is the specific terrorist airline that's engaging in what is this choreographed maintenance of presence in my path in that environment. These are demons that are stalking together. And this is relevant with regard to what is that same international system regarding a country. The United States is engaged in kidnapping children, sex trafficking them, what is placing them in the homes of this entity that engages in what is keeping them under surveillance, sexually violating them, monitoring them, stealing from them, while they're also engaging in this pattern of conduct, as I'm showing you, gang stalking and furtherance of murder, kidnapping, to do so as I am an adult. I just want to be clear, this is relevant to the fake sun that you'll see over me right now at 537 North Euclid Avenue. I took pictures of it, and all of the entity is engaged in what is gang stalking. This is mental illness. 5507282 is included. A Latino male wearing a dark cap, gang stalking while looking to the opposite side of the road while he's stalking me. And he's a demon-possessed psychopath stalking. Sparklets is stalking. That's a demon on G Street in Euclid, engaging what is crossing path. This is the massive, large investment in this criminal system, which is also why these businesses are invested in the pattern of conduct. That's why the fake sun is over their business while they conduct that business, making money even. They make more money while I'm there, while I'm in relevant position, and the entities engaging in that pattern of conduct. That's also part of their investment. Their investment is with regard to the criminal engagement in that P.O.C. The entity engages in what is the commercial means of the pattern of conduct. That is the evidence of the investment of the people of the state that are maintaining the pattern of conduct in the United States, as I've shown in the city of Ontario, for example, and with regard to the state of California. It is, as you are able to tell, it's 8:51 a.m. and the fake sun is over me at the F Street in Euclid. The entity is maintaining the engineer light on this same street as I documented yesterday evening as I'm walking toward the 715 North Euclid Avenue. The amber light that's all over the buildings where there's engaged in choreography regarding what is not sunlight that's touching the buildings, regarding a sunset that would be along the same street where I'm showing you evidence of the fake sun rising over me at this address. Also the indicator regarding choreography of stalkers, a population of them who share in murder, who share in sex trafficking, who share in seeking to conceal murder. Remember, gang stalking me and further into murder. This is an entity that committed murder to engage in what is stealing money from me in the first place. And I believe that this is an entity that engaged in trying to frame me for that murder. That's what Jason Fields and Tracy Banks are going to prison for. They're also going to federal prison because this population is engaged in gang stalking me and furtherance of my murder with regard to also obstructing justice. That's what's behind the mentally ill that are engaged in stalking and things such as planes and helicopters. And Angie, Lewis, Mejia, and Kimberly, the entity that is the Ontario Airport Inn, conspiring my murder, gang stalking as a business, engaging in that, and their audible activity being the substance of harassment. 7SMG380, maintaining what is a child to engage in that pattern of conduct, and they're doing so with the demons that are stalking in commercial planes, and the entity is maintaining that pattern of conduct right now while they are dipping down behind the Chevron that's across the street. Like they're doing on video at the Stater Brothers. It's laughable, but it is also very serious because this is mental illness that is resulting in the loss of a lot of life, American citizens. Because the mentally ill are the ones that are killing people and they're doing so while they are in positions that I have shown for years they are unfit to maintain. The mentally ill, the demon-possessed, gang stalkers that are stalking in commercial planes, that are associated and identified by airlines, that are engaging the pattern of conduct in Ontario, California, in Los Angeles, California, in what is Orange County, that's John Wayne Airport, where the entity is gang stalking me at the Best Western. They're stalking with commercial planes while I'm in that parking lot, doing so during the 11 a.m. hour, that's daylight savings time in 2024. They're stalking while the entity is maintaining the fake sun, and they're stalking with aerial surveillance, commercial planes, and the city of Costa Mesa maintaining smaller planes. It's the pattern of conduct. These are the demons that are murdering people, and then on the news presenting it as though it's an accident. The engine is the reason why that plane crashed into those people in Kentucky under a fake sunset, and it is not an accident. It's within this pattern of conduct regarding surveillance. 8MLG414, this is a domestic terrorist, a co-conspirator of murder. She's a sex offender, and she is intentionally engaging in this choreographed maintenance of stalking me while children are in her vehicle. The demon-possessed engage in what is the pattern of conduct in ways in which I am describing, scrutinizing, that they're triggered by, and psychopaths that engage in sex with children will engage in repeating that criminal conduct that I expose them for. It's also relevant while they like to use them to engage in gang stalking. As I expose the fact that they have sex with children, they do the same thing. Just want to be clear on that. This is P.O.C. 9TRC 713. Crossing path under a fake sun that is not mutually over the Ontario Airport Inn, doing so while the demons of the city of Ontario, Brightview, you'll see them stalking, emptying the garbage while those demons are like a centipede, pacing around off of the vehicle, pacing around, centering it around the emptying of a trash can that's adjacent to me at the bus stop. It's a means of what is stalking by the city. The city of Ontario is gang stalking with Brightview. The entity is engaging in the pattern of conduct with Omnitrans. The bus announcement that you hear in the background, that is, again, no real competition with my voice, while the entity is gang stalking, and Omnitrans are operated by those are monitoring spirits that are operating public transportation that are a threat to the public. Okay, in the same way that they crash planes and kill people, the demon-possessed are operating transit lines, and they're engaging in criminal surveillance, and my evidence already surrounds Omnitrans, and this is relevant to the federal RICO case against them. And they're also engaged in gang stalking me, and the demonic pattern of conduct such that the entity is stopping at the bus stop, and they're doing so, and the audible activity with regard to what is the demons that are hostile and want to engage in harassment, license 8WRY224, that's a male operating that burgundy Honda at 8:55 a.m. under the fake sun stalking. And this announcement that you hear at this volume, where Omnitrans stops at the bus stop, engaging in what is the pattern of conduct monitoring, doing so while this announcement is then sounding at an extraordinarily loud volume, as what is targeted as AEML 600. Driving under the fake sun, an engineer light moving across the wall of the RAYBON mortgage. Okay, that's its targeted. That is the pattern of conduct. That's what Omnitrans is engaging in. And Omnitrans is engaging in that. That's not just what is annoying conduct. That's audible activity. Omnitrans is using a vehicle with regard to criminal monitoring. Omnitrans is doing so in furtherance of murder. Omnitrans is doing so with regard to what is the city of Ontario that is targeting me on the roads and the highways, facilitating that with the people of the state, doing it in furtherance of murder, while the entity, the city of Ontario, the people of the state, this very conduct is in furtherance of what is an international system regarding kidnapping, regarding what is murder, regarding what I'm exposing that this city, this state is engaged in, what this country is engaged in with other countries throughout the world. And that is kidnapping children. It's an easy way to steal wealth from them. It's while they're practicing what is witchcraft. They call this destiny swapping, while they practice witchcraft and steal children, kidnap them, murder their parents, murder whoever are their the ones whom children would inherit wealth from, and they move them to different parts of the world, and then they gang stalk them like what the United States is doing to me in California. This is what is behind Omnitrans engaging in that. So there is very much more behind what is Omnitrans using a vehicle associated with the county to engage in what is criminal activity, and while they are keeping the evidence under surveillance, doing so as a means of what is harassing me to obstruct justice and exhibiting demon possession in doing so. 2327 8W3, sexual assault and battery as an entity. None of them are under the sun. All of them are stalking, and every single last one of them are stalking with impossible light that's moving across facilitating venue, gang stalker, RAYBON mortgage, EG 95X55. And the psychopaths are over here stalking in commercial planes. just like they are in the video at Stater Brothers, where the Ontario police are pacing around. You're looking at their mental illness that they're wearing on the outside. Okay, it's shining brighter than the badge that I'm going to rip off of their chest. That pacing that was underway in that parking lot is where the demons are pacing in commercial planes, not landing. Okay, that hovering over that parking lot is getting closer to me. They're stalking. And there is clearly no landing occurring at 646 West Holt Boulevard or adjacent to 646 West Boulevard. They're not landing on any airport property and then driving the rest to what is 2500 Airport Road. The airport is south of Holt Boulevard, Terminal 2, Terminal 4. You're talking about what is east of Vineyard Avenue. The entity is engaged in very far from anywhere near that. Also, while they are doing so perpetually, as progressively rather, as I am walking from the Stater Brothers back toward this location over here where I'm documenting, and the entity is engaging in what is very, very deranged behavior. Omnitrans is gang stalking into the fake sun. Remember, it's over me at 12 o'clock at the same bus stop, 1656576, bus 1361. Now, this is what they're doing while I'm sleeping and a demon is monitoring, and the entity uses extraordinary loud, that's bus 1361, while they're engaging in that pattern of conduct combined with the use of the speaker. Okay, stopping at the bus stop with regard to what is activity creation. And a demon that likes to masturbate while they watch me on the dark web is gratified by harassing me with the use of that speaker that's at an extraordinarily louder volume. They're demons, and that's demonic. The volume of the speaker is suddenly extraordinarily louder. That's what Omnitrans is engaging in this morning. 7FRC 803. And it's as demonic as the engineer light that swipes across the building. And you also know that nobody's imagining that either. Okay? Omnitrans has been engaged in documented terrorism and harassment for years. The mentally ill operating public transportation, engaging what is harassing me. And what's the first thing that the demons like to point out? Oh, that I'm homeless. But you're stalking me and you're obsessed with my vagina, Satan. That's Satan that's wearing Omnitrans uniforms. That is very deranged, very much a threat to the public while they're gang stalking driving buses and you want to talk about somebody else's economic status. But what are you doing with your life? I'm referring to evidence that I've been capturing for years. And they're hostile demons. They get enraged as I document them and I prove my case. I prosecute it while I'm sitting on a bus for the entirety of the route, every route that I take, and the fake sun is remaining over me street for street and turn for turn, just like the Ontario Airport Inn. Demons that keep the evidence under surveillance and then engage in what is harassing you. I'm going to prosecute. There is no statute of limitations, and the entity is doing so with the city of Ontario, with the city of Fontana, with the city of Chino, with the city of Pomona, all right, and they're engaging in the city of Montclair, and they're engaging in that, and that is relevant to what is federal prison. And my evidence, my receipts rather, are very long, and there are specific elements with regard to what is federal prison, and that's where they're going. There's no statute of limitations, so they're still engaging in harassment. They've been engaged in what is gang stalking me and furtherance of murder, threatening my life as a demon on the roads and the highways. Okay, and they're doing so as a means of harassment while I'm maintaining this pattern of conduct, where you're the demons that stole from me. You stole from me. Who's really the brokey here? The psychopath that's gang stalking and monitoring my vagina while you're driving a bus for a living. Okay, now I wouldn't make fun of you, but you're the one that's laughable here, not me. I'm prosecuting my case while you stole from me. These are delusional psychopaths. Okay, that's the P.O.C. I just want to be clear on that. You already know what's heard in the background. What the fake church that's engaging with its audible activity creation does so at its desire. That's why they're doing so on my podcast in the middle of the hour as I'm documenting the fake sun over me at that same Bethel congregation during the 10 a.m. and 11 a.m. hour. In the middle of the hour, I believe it was like 10:44 a.m. where the entity is monitoring. That's just an example to let you know that it is ongoing audible activity. It's part of the choreographed placement, the entire crime scene, which is centered around me, where the demon-possessed are engaging in conduct that they're not only embarrassed for, but that they share in as a city, a county, a state of kidnappers, a state of murderers, a state of those that act together to seek to avoid being exposed. Documenting any neighborhood for gang stalking is exposing the entire state for what is engagement in what is not just a statewide crime, but this is international. So this is simultaneously exposing other countries that are acting with the state of California, keeping me under surveillance and furtherance of concealing murder that was committed in order to steal money and property from me, and the entity engaged in also seeking to frame me for said murder. Murder of a relative that I don't even know about, that I don't even know left me money. But this is where we're at in the investigation. This is why Fields is going to prison, and this is why Banks are going to prison. This is relevant to evidence that is going to come out, and it's also going to come out that the entity gang stalked me until the point that they couldn't conceal it anymore. All right, and at this point in the record, where death magic, this is witchcraft that they are definitely engaged in. They're the entity, including Tracy Banks and Jason Fields, whether they are going to expire before or after a prosecution, before or after exposure on a more massive scale than it is now. They are gang stalking while they are anticipating that level of exposure. The government is exposing that it's gang stalking while it is anticipating exposure. The government's engaging in what are the deranged means of that conduct, stalking me in planes. This is informing what's going on in the rest of the country and what's going on in the rest of the world. Stalking me in helicopters as a gang stalking police department. This is informing about this is informative regarding what's going on in the rest of the world, what is going on with regard to how surveillance is underway, why surveillance is underway against particular people, such as an international syndicate that kidnaps children, steals inheritances from them, steals their wealth that they do not know about, and displaces them in places and parts of the world where they are told who their family is and what their life is going to be like, while a people steal from them and keep them under surveillance, keep their genitalia under surveillance, sexually violate them, traffic them, gang stalk them, murder them. That's what's behind the city of Ontario stalking me and Omnitrans harassing me while I'm sleeping at a bus stop, which is the product of the demons, the brokies themselves who stole from me. Okay? There's no demon that can insult me. Everything that you have, you put it towards your obsession with me. And you're going to prison and you're still stalking me because you're an inferior demon. This is the pattern of conduct. It is December 29, 2025. The fake sun, a grand departure from being over Ontario Airport Inn, where those psychopaths are wearing uniforms as housekeepers. They can't even competently do a job as a housekeeper because it's all part of what is a choreographed, maintained environment where they're stalking as a population. 8XRW709. That choreography is a direct indicator and exposure regarding mental illness and criminal activity. And it's informing what is internationally underway. This is P.O.C. It is currently 9:05 a.m. There will be no sun over the Ontario Airport Inn at 9:38 a.m., contrary to what I documented yesterday. All right, there will be no sun over the Ontario Airport Inn over my hotel room at 12:22 p.m. There is never going to be sunlight on the inside of those hotel rooms, creating my shadow projected, multiple shadows on the ceiling. That's the same demonic conduct that the entity is doing while they're pacing in an Ontario police vehicle in the parking lot. That's engineer light on that asphalt. That's engineer light moving across the RAYBON mortgage building, which I captured on video. During the nightfall as well, that's the same engineer light that you see inside of my hotel room, stalking with light. The mentally ill engage in certifiable conduct as they're stalking with light. And who are stalking with light? Demon-possessed people are stalking with light. Monitoring spirits are stalking with light. And it is the criminal conduct proven with tangible evidence in violation of Title 18, Section 2261A, subsections 1 and 2. They're engaged in surveillance while indeed the United States is engaging in what is kidnapping people, keeping them under surveillance in order to steal from them, murder them. License 6ZH8698 is engaged in what is a choreographed maintenance of stalking in the path. Stalking at on the roads and the highways at a traffic light where the government is controlling those lights, and it is a means of stalking me systematically while they are pacing under a fake sun. They are the demon-possessed people of the state, knowing exactly who you are, knowing exactly who I am, and are targeting together. Okay, and the fake sun is relevant to identifying not only criminal conduct, but the demon-possessed. This is P.O.C. Hi, Balbeer. How's it going? It's 9:06 a.m. Should you want me to wait till you go back inside? I'm at Chevron, by the way, as you can hear. Alrighty, it is 9:36 a.m. You will see mental illness exhibited by the desperation and the extreme, which is also psychologically harmful toward the targeted individual who is being kept under surveillance by the city airport. That is, again, well beyond what is the standard to shut down the Ontario International Airport, as the mentally ill are maintaining that airport and every airline as a means of criminal surveillance. The entity is under the fake sun, engaged in the choreographed placement of that environment and placement in the path, and the absurdity of hovering over this location, that level of stalking conduct. But the entity is doing so in a commercial plane, flying in the direction east, hovering while I'm at the Ontario Town Square. And the entity is engaging in conduct, again, like they are at the Stater Brothers, like they are landing anywhere near what is the Ontario Town Square. You recall documentation where United Airlines, Southwest Airlines, UPS are engaging what are hovering over the Metro 102 apartments, doing so under the fake sun that is rising while I'm at the B Street and Lemon Avenue intersection. And at that time, they weren't engaging in conduct as though they're landing. They were engaged in doing cartwheels over the Metro 102 apartments. That's the same Metro 102 apartments that I got off yesterday when I am arriving to the OVITT Family Community Library, where the sun is not going to be in front of, I'm at the OVITT Family Community Library now area, and that's where the sun is not going to be at both places at the same time, nor in the same city for the duration of the day. And the entities engaging in that conduct, this is the entity that fails to make rational what is the conduct coming from the same airport, the two terminals that are on the property of the Ontario Airport, and where you're conducting what is a uniform takeoff and or landing, and what the entity is doing as I'm documenting it. And they're also doing it in the specific environment. The entity is engaging in that where I am capturing what is, I'm going to capture video. I am capturing the fake sun at 9:37, 9:38 a.m. This is where the entity is stalking in planes, which you'll see in my images. This is 224 North Euclid Avenue. This is the entity moving the fake sun in real time. The entity has the fake sun over me as I'm showing you, reflecting off of the doors of the OVITT Family Community Library, which is distinct, where San Bernardino County is gang stalking, not coincidentally, stalking in the path, license 1589945, engaged in the kidnapping with the City of Ontario, and they are indeed engaged in that pattern of conduct, doing so under a fake sun, keeping me under surveillance, engaged in the choreographed placement in my path, that is stalking, in an environment that is supernatural, where the entity has a fake sun in the same position while I'm at the library facing this town square after 4 p.m. This is where the entity yesterday has it over me at the 1801 East B Street, where the airport is indeed engaged in what is the mentally ill behavior of stalking in planes. This is the entity that's engaging in that, and this is the entity that has a fake sun over this OVITT Family Community Library, where the demon-possessed who engage in what are sex trafficking kids, engage in what is conspiracy to murder, stalking as a police department, as an airport, as a fire department, as EMTs, stalking in ambulances, as a population engaging in psychopathic pacing. That's deliberate placement, where the fake sun is not over the hotel room roof, as I'm showing you in the parking lot at the Ontario Airport, and where those demons are stalking in planes, and they're sitting in the parking lot in their vehicles doing this, pacing. In San Bernardino County, engaged in criminal defamation, engaging in that conservatorship while they're engaged in what is criminal surveillance, kidnapping with the OVITT Family Community Library, 10:29 a.m., June 16, 2022. This is P.O.C. 8 UCP 679, City of Ontario, gang stalking, engaging in criminal defamation, and they're the ones that are mentally ill. San Bernardino County is engaged in what is the kidnapping and furtherance of murder. And everybody that engaged in kidnapping, they're going to prison. They are the ones that are in need of behavioral health, while they're engaged in the demonic pattern of conduct, psychopathic pacing, mentally ill, certifiable conduct, stalking with light, and doing so in a malicious manner, engaging in what is acting like they have any or had any relationship with me. They don't. They're gang stalking me. All right, and they're doing so while this fake sun is remaining at the same time over 1801 East G Street, where it remained, and where it remained as I remain walking on G Street, documenting those gang stalkers at 12 in the afternoon, and yet it's here 24 hours later, engaging what is that P.O.C. The entity is engaging in what is the ridiculous conduct of stalking in planes, and that's the airport that's going to be shut down, a threat to national security. This is P.O.C. It is 9:40 a.m. All right, it's 9:55 a.m. You're looking at the people of the state that are engaged in surveillance inside of a library. They're standing in the engineer light. It's impossible that sunlight would be underneath a covered structure that they're standing under, which is filled with light. It's impossible that they would be anywhere near the sun. Impossible that 23611J2 is causing any sunlight to roll across the entry doors while they are indeed together engaging in surveillance. They are the mentally ill engaged in the certifiable conduct of stalking with light as a population, and they're also engaged in what is stalking as a population under the fake sun that is over me 3 hours from now, where I am arriving after walking down G Street, walking down Vineyard, walking on Holt, getting on the bus, showing you that fake sun that's over me on the bus, while right now it's and then I'm arriving at the same address where the fake sun's over me in this same manner, where the African American with the mop on her head, wearing the Securitas, is what you're paying attention to. I'm prosecuting that company, and I'm prosecuting that demon operating that golf cart as a matter of light activity, and that light source is right over her where she is stalking. That company is stalking me. That company is sharing in conspiracy to murder. And that company is invested in what is this international system of surveillance where they murder children, kidnap children, and you also see that they gang stalk with children while they're engaging in this pattern of conduct, which is also sexually violent and absurdly deranged. The entity's engaged in stalking at the library that has a fake sun over it, and it's in the same manner for an entity to engage in what is pacing throughout the venue. They're doing so with regard to the context of whatever entails the use of a library while they are pacing as monitoring spirits, monitoring my physical movement, monitoring my vagina, monitoring my devices, monitoring all of the evidence to be used against it, monitoring on behalf and in concert with the government that's stalking with planes and helicopters. And that's why the fake sun is remaining over my hotel room yesterday at this time and remaining, as I documented, on the 27th at 12:22 in the afternoon, 12:29 in the afternoon, 4:10 in the afternoon. And you're also mindful the fake sun that's here at 12, after 12 when I'm arriving, and it's over this same entrance that I walk into, and everybody in that library is stalking, just like everybody at the library now is stalking, and they're all demons that are engaging in that. They're all demons that are invested in murder. They're invested in criminal defamation. They're invested in every kidnapping that they have shared in together, while they are hostile, as I expose all of them with my documentation. License plate 8YVG575. It's a psychopath that's stalking. And their mental illness is, again, no longer closeted, and neither is that state surveillance system. These are the demon-possessed that are maintaining surveillance, as you are aware of what's going on at the Ontario Airport and what's going on aboard Omnitrans, what is going on the roads and the highways, what are they driving under while I am at 12 o'clock, after 12 o'clock in the afternoon, walking in front of whether the Chick-fil-A, the In-N-Out, the Sheraton, Doubletree, the entity that's maintaining the fake sun that's remaining over this entrance. And it remains, as I documented, at 4:11 on video, juxtaposing that with what is 4:10 the day before yesterday at my same hotel room where that fake sun did not move. And what you're going to pay attention to is the same hallway, the same side of that library has engineer light underneath it, while just in the same manner that it does yesterday at 4:11 p.m., where I'm reminding you that it's impossible that that's the sun that's in the same position at the Ontario Town Square that I captured today at 9:38 a.m., where it's remaining over that hotel room, the roof of the hotel building, the courtyard of the hotel building. Okay, that's the entity that's stalking with light. License 9DTJ503 is a psychopath by definition, stalking me with light while they're driving vehicles. This is what the San Bernardino County is sharing in while they're using a vehicle issued by the county to engage in what is stalking me and invested in what is criminally defaming me. This is relevant to what is a statewide pattern of conduct, the U.S. government's pattern of conduct, and that is where the San Bernardino County shares in what is the motive behind criminally defaming me and having absolutely no basis to do so other than the criminal pattern of conduct. And those that engage in that, they're going to prison. 9MLE779 in San Bernardino County, stalking under the fake sun, stalking with light, communicating a threat, having engaged in kidnapping and defaming before. All of that's legally relevant while they're gang stalking as the same psychopaths. Actually mentally ill, 8JUL089, sharing in that criminal system. And it is not a coincidence, it's exposing what is the necessity of changing the laws and the entity that's engaging what is stalking and targeting and then criminally defaming you only be able to do so because of the corrupt government system is necessitating changing of the laws in this country, state and federal. And that's what's going to precipitate from the prosecution of the city of Ontario, which is the state of California. It's 10 a.m. and the entity is pacing in and out of the entrance of the library, gang stalking and doing so. I believe that is Kelly. No, that's not Kelly. The entity is opening the entrances while they're gang stalking and doing so with regard to the criminal conduct that OVITT Family Community Library is sharing in. This is P.O.C. They're all vagina monitors. Kelly is present. Yeah, Kelly's here monitoring. Myra's here monitoring. And they're all under what is this choreographed environment. All right, the choreographed environment is there for criminal purposes of surveillance and furtherance of murder. The OVITT Family Community Library represents the city of Ontario, and this is the entity that engaged in kidnapping with even San Bernardino County that's going out of its way to share in that ongoing terrorism, also with knowledge of what's documented. That's the P.O.C. It's 10:01 a.m. Good morning, Miss Myra. You're going to pay attention to the tactic underway by an entity that is aware that it's being documented. It's relevant to what is malice. It's relevant to what is it's relevant also to laws that are going to change in the country. But it's relevant to what is an inevitable terms in prison. So the entity like OPARC and Anthesis, this is the City of Ontario's tactic that knows that it's being documented. They like to bring the mentally incapacitated, even though they share that status. They're mentally ill psychopaths engaged in anxious, psychopathic pacing in an environment that is designed, and it's all choreographed. They're mentally ill, and the entity engages in it. They're gang stalking conduct as a population, and that is used as a means to veil what is mentally ill behaviors and also criminal surveillance as that mentally ill behavior is underway. But the entity is engaging what is bringing those that are of that condition, those that, for example, where you would the type of mental illness where, for example, learning disabilities, things like Tourette's syndrome, involuntary movements, mumbling, or what you may also confuse with what is demon possession, by the way. And demon possession is not limited by any physical incapacity. But these companies, OPARC and Anthesis, they and the City of Ontario's tactic at this venue is to bring those of that status to come and engage in what is the exact same activity creation. I want to be clear, those that are operating those vehicles, those that are engaging in that, they're subject to federal prison. The entity is not going to avoid federal prison. In fact, it's relevant for what is abuse in the same way that they do that with children. They're doing that with those that are in that state. Remember, they're not innocent. They're engaged in intentional, deliberate conduct. Those that are of some mental incapacity, where they are in the care of those of the demons that are in positions that they're unfit for. Gang stalkers working for Anthesis, gang stalkers working for OPARC, gang stalkers working for San Bernardino County Behavioral Health when you have behavioral health issues yourself. But nonetheless, the entities engaging in that as a malicious guise, they are presenting this population to be documented because they're monitoring the evidence. They are deciding to put their children in the way to be documented and exposed. These are cowards. They are putting this population in the path to be documented to maintain the same criminal pattern of conduct. They're doing so while they're keeping the evidence under surveillance. All of the knowledge, all of the malice is underway. I'm just pointing out the tactic that the entity engages in, bringing in corrupt companies that are abusing those that they have a responsibility over in the medical field, where they're driving them to this venue, and they're engaging in what is maintaining control and exercising authority over them, and they're here to engage in the pattern of conduct, the sexual violence, the ongoing harassment, psychological torture, and it's not less threatening and criminal to the targeted individual, and it's equally state action, it's equally unlawful, and the entity that engages in that is the entity that is going to prison. The ones that are operating the OPARC vehicles, the ones that are operating the Anthesis vehicles, the ones that are associated with making these decisions, there's a whole paper trail regarding what is malice. The entity is engaging in that, and they're deciding to present it, and it's also informative regarding what they think about those that are in that status, to present them as the ones to be seen engaging in that pattern of conduct. The entity is always listening to me. I am the focal point. I am the obsession, and they are engaging in what is following my lead, and engaging in that under a fake sun. There is no rebutting it. You're not contradicting it. You're listening to me, and everything that you're doing is informed by what you are gang stalking, and everyone knows that as well. I want to point this out because they're going to be going to federal prison. All right, this is P.O.C. It is currently 10:07 a.m. Okay, just ongoing food for thought, helping everyone understand where you're at and what you're looking at. You're looking at real life sex offenders. You're looking at what is actual mental illness, failing at presenting as sanity, and you're looking at public corruption, miserably failing at presenting as normal society. These are the demon-possessed that are failing at fitting in with normal human beings as well. If this is clearly not the sun because it's remaining over my hotel room yesterday, I've yet to check out yesterday, and were Angie and the demons that are refusing a receipt, and I'm showing you as I step outside the fake sun in a different position than it was on the 27th, where the Ontario Police and the Ontario International Airport are surrounding my room on both the north and south of my person, while I'm at room 245 facing the direction west, and the entity has the fake sun over my hotel room, and my shadows are projected in the depths of that room. The fake sun's not over the roof while they're refusing me a receipt yesterday at the same time, and I showed you that on video, relevant to them engaging what is harassment upon the pattern of conduct. This is relevant to the everything that I'm telling you about the prosecution. You're going to federal prison for terrorism in the first place as a gang stalking population acting with the state, meaning in the ways in which federal laws mandated, you're going to prison and there's no getting out of that. When you're gang stalking with the police, when you engage in criminal summoning, when you're engaged in kidnapping, when you're engaged in sharing in the elements of monitoring, such as gang stalking on the roads and the highways like these demons are doing on an ongoing regular basis. The entities engaging in that pattern of conduct of harassing me at the front desk while the sun is not over that roof like it is when I'm at my room at 2:45. That's how you're getting down to the targeted conduct behind what is treating me on its face problematic, refusing a receipt. And the refusal of the receipt, by the way, let me also give you context on that. The receipt shows the absence of any policy talking about their right to enter your room against your will, to clean it. And they've never recited anything like that. And it is also outside of what you're purchasing. You are entitled, and this is common knowledge, and I've been staying at hotels for years, so. This is a hostile third party that wanted to also interfere with my podcast documentation on the 27th after I'm documenting very damning evidence, and then also doing that to monitor and maintaining some means of trying to force their way. Well, we need to enter today, and no, you don't. If I request that service, then by all means, but the room is paid for and it's not on a receipt, and then it's no front desk clerk's recitation of what are your responsibilities when they're talking about are you parking a vehicle on the premises, no smoking, no animals, and only one other adult is permitted in the room. That's it, okay? And that is ordinary protocol regarding the innkeepers. The entity is calling my room. Kimberly and Louis Mejia are hostile demons who are under a fake sun that is in a different position on the 28th when the entity is harassing me, refusing me a receipt. That is proof of what I've already stated. It's nothing on the website. There's nothing on the receipt that is stating that they're going to force you during your stay for 5 days or for 3 days, or whether you pay for your or reserve your room through a third party or on the website or call them yourselves, that you're treated to different treatment regarding a receipt that does not have any statement about being required to permit them to enter your room during your stay if you do not need cleaning, okay? And that's also presupposing that you need cleaning in the first place. If you're there and all you're doing is sleeping and you literally haven't used the trash can, you haven't even gotten up and use the television, like they don't know what is, in other words, the state of the room is, and it is not necessarily requiring that as a matter of forcing you to do that. This is the absurdity of the harassment tactics, because the entity is monitoring surveillance, and that is relevant to the threat posed by an entity that is gang stalking, and also now they're gang stalking somebody that's documenting it, and all that's doing is showing what is the informing federal legislation, and what is establishing, corroborating what it is that I already stated. You are threatened by a population that's targeting you, and then they're also targeting you more so because they're aware of what you're documenting about them. They want to get away with murdering you in secret, and then there's psychopaths who are hostile because you're documenting it. That's an ongoing threat, and it's relevant to the ongoing harassment that they engage in and commit while they are keeping that evidence about themselves that's going to be used against them under surveillance. But nonetheless, the entity that's engaging in this conduct, the fake sun that's over me, I took a picture before 10 a.m. So I'm walking to the venue during the 9 a.m. hour. The fake sun's over the same entrance that it is as I'm arriving at 12 in the afternoon yesterday. It's still 2 hours from now. And I'm walking out of my hotel room at 12:10 in the afternoon yesterday. There's a fake sun remaining over the roof of my room, but yet it's over me at 10 o'clock in the morning at this entrance. And the entity is deliberately driving those that are in what are perceived mentally ill states, and the demon-possessed that are operating the vehicles and driving them down here are sharing in the criminal pattern of conduct, and I'm maliciously presenting that population to be engaging in the pattern of conduct. It's not rebutting the evidence. It's not going to supersede the fake sun. It's going to get to, okay, who drove these people down here because they're going to prison? That's exactly what's going to happen. And it's relevant also with regard to the entity that does so with children. It's the same malice behind that. It's the same facilitation, and it's the same abuse of those that you are in maintaining a responsibility. You have a responsibility to not engage in federal group stalking and monitoring while they're in your custody. And because you maliciously do that, you keep the evidence under surveillance and decide to do that. No one's forgetting about that, okay? because they are accumulating what is serious consequences. They're playing with their own lives, and they're doing so in the specific environment. So the entity has engineer light flying inside of the entrance. The entity is engaging in that while the fake sun is remaining over Ontario Airport Inn. The entity is engaging in that pattern of conduct, and this is clear that it's not the sun, thus not sunlight. So now you're mindful of the images that I took yesterday during what is the 3 p.m. hour. What is the light that is touching the bathroom doors at the entrance as I show you the fake sun after 3 o'clock in the afternoon? Because it's not the sun, and that's not sunlight. These are vagina monitors. The vagina monitors like to drive down those that they are in custody of who are deemed as being mentally incapacitated in one way or another, and they drive them down here to engage in criminal surveillance, for which you're going to prison. You're also going to be prosecuted for abuse under the Welfare and Institutions Code. The entities engaging in that pattern of conduct, and it's relevant to how they engage in abusing children as well. It's going toward those that are going to be losing custody. They're engaging in that conduct now with impunity, and it's going to be used against them as an entity in court. This is P.O.C. Just want to be clear, it's the evidence of the entity engaged in that pattern of conduct, and they're doing so while evidence like what you're looking at in the afternoon, while the fake sun is still here, and a population is sharing in that, and they're pacing all around, and the entity's engaging in that. You're not, under any circumstances, rebutting the evidence. It's impossible to do that. There is nothing that you're going to present that's going to make that fake sun the natural environment, ever, never. It's never going to happen. But I want to make sure that everybody understands the level of psychopaths, the level of psychopathic conduct and mindsets that the ordinary target individual is confronted with. Their vagina monitors and engineer light is all over the bathroom doors after 3 p.m. in the afternoon. They're gang stalking, and they're sex offenders that monitor in bathrooms. This is P.O.C. It's 10:18 a.m. It's 10:18 a.m. That's impossible audible activity in the engineer light in the private space under the fake sun that's remaining over the hotel room yesterday and over the OVITT Family Community Library today. That is getting to what is surveillance in sexually motivated and demented manner shared by Myra Kelly. The entity that is gang stalking as the administration is engaging in that pattern of conduct and furtherance of murder and keeping genitalia under surveillance. Crossing a path is underway. Activity creation is underway. And that's the mentally ill that are stalking with light in a bathroom. Okay, that's the entity that's stalking in planes and helicopters in a bathroom. That's the entity that's engaging in the mentally ill behavior of maintaining noise in that manner while they're monitoring you and your genitalia. Crouching in bathroom stalls to engage in that. That's the entity that is indeed going to be subject to what are diagnoses for actual mental illness. This is P.O.C. You will see that evidence reflected on the record while an entity is engaged in surveillance in a private space. They are doing so, I just want to be clear, sharing in incestuous sexual violence. Tracy Banks, that is obsessed with my vagina, is sharing in the sexual violence of those that are gang stalking in bathrooms. They are one entity of sex offenders. That's activity creation while you are stalking in the path in a bathroom under a fake sun and an engineer light on behalf of what is Mike Lorenz, who's going to prison for everything that I'm continuously documenting. Ongoing gang violence, P.O.C. Alrighty, 10:24 a.m. What you are witnessing is psychopathic pacing in the bathroom. Very gross conduct. These are the demons that are following and stalking into private spaces, and this is state action, and these are the extent to which they kidnap children. They kidnap them, take them to different parts of the world. They keep them under surveillance, including in private spaces. They sexually violate them, murder them, steal from them. All right, and this is, again, demons. This is very clear, everything that's surrounding, and then what's going on in the bathroom. Pacing, certifiable conduct, P.O.C. All right.
right, OVIT Family Community Library, which is relevant to what is an umbrella, every employee, Lindsay, Myra, Kelly, the entity that's engaging in the pattern of conduct that continues in a bathroom, and every person in the building is a demon. Every person in the building is sharing in what is psychopathic means of stalking one person, and it's not a secret. And so now they're engaging in it, and you're witnessing that being continued in the face of that exposure, while the entity is engaging in what is a pattern of conduct that shows their mental illness, their sexual perversion, their criminal purpose, and their ongoing obsession endeavor in doing so. This is going to prosecute the people who are working at the library, not the library itself. The City of Ontario is not protecting anybody. It's impossible to. The social worker that's gang stalking inside of the OVIT Family Community Library, she's gang stalking in one of the offices. She's engaged in the pattern of conduct. She represents the City of Ontario as well. And they're engaging in that P.O.C. while they fill the library with what I've exposed, OPARC and ANTHCRUPT clients that are subject to abuse while they're gang stalking, and doing so with the equally mentally ill, demon-possessed people of the state who need to be diagnosed, and that's what's happening with the P.O.C. They're simultaneously being diagnosed while they keep vagina under surveillance while staring at a book that they're not reading. Okay, because if they'd ever read a book, they would actually know that this is not ending well for them at all, and they're still persisting in it, which is relevant to the mental illness that is already proven on its own by them stalking with light, stalking as a population, stalking in the ways in which the demon-possessed people of the state do. All right, that's mentally ill behavior, and that's because they are, in fact, not normal people. They're engaged in monitoring, and it's criminal activity. And they share in what is monitoring your genitalia. That is certifiable and sexually violent conduct. That is state action, but the entity engaging in that on behalf of that state, they're going to be diagnosed and prosecuted and identified as sex offenders. And those that facilitate it, like OPARC and ANTHCRUPT and venues alike, that come and act with the City of Ontario to show the faces of the mental, that's going to be documentation of abuse, and they're going to be prosecuted on additional bases. All right, this P.O.C., the entity is engaged in psychopathic pacing in that bathroom, that you're understanding the level of obsession. Okay, the severity of mental illness, and the entity that's engaged in that while every step of the way. They are watching their own demise. You are watching the unraveling of a whole system. You're watching the entity engaging, crashing out, as it's referred to in the vernacular, meaning that's a reference to an entity that is failing at presenting in one way, failing at accomplishing its criminal objective. This whole system relies on the maintenance of an illusion. That illusion is totally wiped out, especially when you are proven as a matter of science and beyond a reasonable doubt that you are a stalker, and you are stalking in absurd ways. And there is no book or computer desktop that you can stare at that changes it. In fact, the more that you do that, the more concerned professionals are going to be when they are diagnosing you through this very evidence that's also going to convict you. All right, it is 10:30 a.m. The fake sun is over OVIT Family Community Library, where you know it remains, as I documented, at 4:11 p.m. They're pacing in and out of that bathroom as a bunch of demons that are together keeping my vagina under surveillance, and there's a whole entity of cockroaches and ants outside pacing around, surveilling me. P.O.C. It's 215 E.C. Street. All right, it is 11:49 a.m. and the images regarding what's exposing vagina monitoring, where the ongoing choreographed placement of everything that's occurring around me as an entity is engaging in surveillance, and the certifiable conduct of stalking on the inside of a building. And the entity has decided at the OVIT Family Community Library to conduct that ongoing domestic terrorism and psychological torture with those who are clinically diagnosed as mentally ill, the population that's gang stalking with those who are clients of corrupt venues like OPARC and ANTHCRUPT, who are engaged in abusing their clients. They are sharing in the pattern of conduct, and they're doing so while they are sharing in mental illness. These are psychopaths who are in positions that they are unfit to be in the medical field, and any type of medical field position, which is exposed simultaneously while they're gang stalking amongst their clients. They're all pacing inside of this venue with the demons that include Kelly Blacken, Charlotte, Myra. These demons these are the employees that are engaging in the pattern of conduct, pacing all around me while an entity keeps a fake sun, and these demons are literally engaging in what is ongoing psychopathic pacing ongoing dizziness while they're just driving in circles over and over and over again, and the ongoing engineered light that doesn't even have anything to do with the fake sun documentation. These are demons that are stalking, and they're bringing in clients with these abusers of the mentally ill, and they're going to be prosecuted. I've exposed them gang stalking me. OPARC is gang stalking me at Woodside Senior Apartments. The entities engaged in what is the pattern of conduct. It's not the first time that OPARC is engaged in the P.O.C. on the gang stalking on the roads and the highways, engaging in what is targeting while they are, again, the malicious guise under which that pattern of conduct is underway. And it's not concealing or helping you look like you're not guilty. It's exposing that the elderly, it's exposing that minors, it's exposing that those that are in the medical field are fully engaged in that pattern of conduct. And headline, plot twist, the mentally ill are the ones that are in positions that they are abusing and that they are actually unfit to hold, such as San Bernardino County, including the so-called Behavioral Health Division, are psychopaths pacing around and stalking while engaging in what I have documented as a matter of record, and what Tracy Banks and Jason Fields and this gang stalking entity have used and abused with regard to stealing my money and property while they were kidnapping. Okay, the entities engaging in that pattern of conduct with regard to criminal defamation, the audacity, the entity's impunity, in other words, to engage in defaming me when you are a feces consumer, hiding behind a title that you were unfit and disqualified to hold, such as working in the Behavioral Health Division for the San Bernardino County, that is an established terrorist, and you are a gang stalking, light slinging gargoyle working for behavioral health with severe behavioral health concerns. Okay, this is the entity that's engaged in criminal defamation while their mental illness is simultaneously being exposed. The entity has a fake sun over me at 11:53 a.m. and all these demons are engaged in what is choreographed maintenance of path. Every time Myra walks from the desk to the printer to one of the gang stalkers at the computers, every time they go to her desk within relevant position to me, every time somebody's getting on and off of the computers, numbers one, I'm on number 1 through 2 through 12, they're engaging in what is choreographed stalking in the path, while a whole fake sun that is yesterday remaining over my hotel room, where the demons in the Acura in the parking lot and the demon in the white vehicle right underneath my room are pacing in the parking lots, and the entity is stalking by commercial plane right adjacent to that parking lot, not taking off at the Ontario Town Square, or taking off at or landing at the Stater Brothers like they're doing last night. They're doing so in alignment to where you see the fake sun, where you see it positioned over the roof of that hotel, which is not under any circumstances substantially similar conduct, which is what the sun and the natural environment and the operation of the whole galaxy operates. The entities engaging in what is, you're looking at everybody in that environment. They're inside of a building pacing all around. That's what these psychopaths are doing. Charlotte and Kelly and these demons that are gang stalking, that are pushing around book carts and answering questions, they're all monitoring with the purpose of doing that. That's why the crime scene is there. The crime scene is showing that they're all psychopaths and vagina monitors that were pacing in and out of the bathroom, and they do so with regard to hostility, as they are called appropriately, vagina monitors. That's why they paced in and out of that bathroom, monitoring my vagina. And the impunity with which they like to engage in sexual violence is not going to be missed when you're prosecuted as a child abuser, when you're prosecuted as an abuser of those who are mentally incapacitated that you share in criminal conduct, when you are prosecuted as a kidnapper and acting with impunity, as a co-conspirator of murder, and the impunity with which you engaged in every aspect of that conduct, helping Tracy Banks and helping the Ontario Police Department and helping this entity that's engaged in what is a whole international system, maintaining terrorism, terrorizing me because you want to get away with what you've already committed. And you're doing so in the face of that evidence. I mean, you're keeping even the evidence under surveillance. None of those details are going to be missed. In fact, the record is going to show that the entity kept it under surveillance every day, every moment, and it informed every ongoing sex offense, sex act, ongoing act of harassment, torture, and terrorism that they committed moment by moment, while they're monitoring spirits, stalking every second, every movement, everything I do on my device. Okay, that's the pattern of conduct. And it's 11:55 a.m. and the fake sun's remaining over the OVITT Family Community Library, whereas yesterday I'm walking out of my room at 12:11 p.m. I'm walking through the courtyard. I'm walking to the front entrance where those demons are stalking at the entrance area, pacing in and out, monitoring me with Angie, the employees that refuse a receipt regarding my checking out of a room, and that receipt that would not include any information about you having a right to force a patron, a guest that has paid for their room, for you to enter in with against their will in order to clean it, provide services that you don't even know that I need.
All right, that's the entity that's engaged in what is harassment and showing that ongoing conduct and that environment that the environments are competing with each other. That's the entity that's prosecuting one another, serving my prosecutorial purposes. Okay, this is pattern of conduct. It's 11:56 a.m. This is P.O.C. Alrighty, this is the ongoing senseless stalking of the people of the state. Demons stalking me in planes, hovering throughout all of the city. That's what they were doing at the Stater Brothers. This is what you can see as I exited the venue of OVITT Family Community Library, which represents the city of Ontario, and all the employees and the patrons are indeed co-conspirators of murder. And they are engaged in pacing, just like the demons are with planes and helicopters, and just like they are in the specific environment. This is all stalking. They're pacing all around me. That's what they're doing in the bathroom, and this is why the sex offenders are humiliated while I'm prosecuting them on the venue of the internet. The entity is engaged in what is the useless, ongoing criminal activity that everyone, including the feds and all around the world, you are aware of. The Ontario International Airport is indeed stalking me. This is unprecedented criminal conduct, and it's going to be the removal of the mentally ill who currently have access to airplanes where they are engaged in what is the criminal expenditure of using these planes and using all the resources that are included in maintaining an airport and these planes to stalk me. And the psychopathic conduct of just dipping down behind all these buildings while they're following me as I go from place to place. This is the P.O.C., however, and this is demon possession. It's criminal monitoring. It's gang stalking. It's relevant to corruption that's going on around the United States and in other countries. This is the failed sacrifice that this entity is engaging in, and it's relevant to international crimes that the United States, that the state of California, that the city of Ontario is engaging in. And now they're just engaging in it because these are delusional psychopaths who don't know, as demons, all they know how to do is continuously do what they're doing. They're going broke, they're stalking, and they're already prosecuted. This is P.O.C. This is what the entity's doing, and I want video. It is currently, let me take my glove off because I can't touch my screen correctly. It's 9:22 p.m. at the Ontario Town Square where they're following from place to place with those planes. There is no airport. There's no airport. That's the City Hall. It's the Metro 102. It's Holt Boulevard. The Sultana and the entities engaged in what is ridiculous and useless conduct. They're stalking. They're just demons who are stalking me. This is a P.O.C. I just want to show you as I advance down the street. This is the Ontario Museum of History and Arts. The entity is maintaining plane activity as I go from the square to the B Street and Euclid Avenue intersection, which is where I'm at now. This is 150 East Holt Boulevard, and the entity is maintaining presence stalking as I continuously go south on Euclid Avenue, maintaining what is present south of my person, psychopathic pacing. License plate 8VRP235 is also stalking. They're all stalking together. And that is the uselessness, by the way, of what the entity is currently doing. They've lost with regard to any sort of spiritual warfare. There is no magic when you are stalking, and it is proven beyond a reasonable doubt. Not only that, the entity is going to be diagnosed with regard to this psychopathic behavior, and it's also delusional because they're going to be prosecuted. So you are also going to look at it from a common sense standpoint. What are you doing in front of everyone that you think you're getting away with? It's absolutely, it's bizarre, it's mentally ill, it's depraved. It is demonic at its core. They're going to be diagnosed based on their delusional behaviors and their criminal conduct. The entity is nonetheless, I'm showing you as I progress from place to place, that's literally the definition of stalking. All right, that's P.O.C. The Ontario airport is, again, like I stated, this is Holt Boulevard. So the Ontario International Airport is south of this street right here. They're engaged in stalking me at the Pizza Hut, Tracy Banks' Woodside Senior Apartments, while I'm at the 7-Eleven at G Street in Euclid, stalking at the bus stop, hovering over that storefront, flying over Starbucks at F Street, at E Street, at the ARCO and the gas station. They're stalking. And they're doing so by dipping, okay? They're not landing anywhere. They're stalking. And this is what the world is witnessing, the proof of what this government and this international syndicate regarding kidnapping children, sex trafficking them, gang stalking them. This is the proof of it, and this is how it operates, and it's exposing mental illness, and this is corruption. The mentally ill are engaged in what is a matter of public corruption. These are demons. P.O.C. That's audible activity and engineer light. This is indeed the P.O.C. at what is Holt Boulevard and Euclid Avenue. It's 9:29 p.m. Alrighty, the videos that you're listening to is ongoing evidence of the criminal pattern of conduct, and this is also direct evidence relevant to the Ontario Police Department, who are again identifying themselves and hiding cloaking themselves as demons that are hiding behind a deceptive misnomer. It's not a police department, and the same way that the Ontario International Airport is stalking, this is direct evidence that's going to be used to prosecute that entire agency, including Mike LORENZ, sharing in the pattern of conduct that's fully underway in the city of Ontario amongst that mentally ill population, using commercial planes and doing the same thing with what are helicopters and police vehicles, fire trucks, ambulances, and the people of the state that use any and everything at their disposal to engage in stalking as well in that environment. And this is relevant to what are the Ontario police, who are nothing other than stalkers. The Ontario Police Department are stalkers, and that's exactly what I stated as the case, and that's exactly what the evidence shows, and that's exactly what the stalking conduct of any airport is revealing with regard to the pattern of conduct when you're prosecuting the public entity for what is criminal monitoring, which is committed by a government in concert with a population. And any aspect of that pattern of conduct is already, it is automatically relevant for what is necessarily present the rest of the elements. Where an airport is engaged in gang stalking, the entirety of that government body is engaged in that same criminal system. The Ontario International Airport, regarding the videos that you just listened to, the Ontario police are stalkers. And they're not doing anything other than stalking. They are psychopaths. That level of desperation, that bizarre, weird conduct of stalking in the planes. You're looking at the videos, you're listening to them, and you can't help but hold in your laughter regarding how absurd at this point, and also the principle of the matter, period. But these are people that murder. These are people that engage in unfathomable crimes against innocent people. They're innocent insofar as they have a right to not be murdered by their government, by any government. They're innocent insofar as no person has a right to take the life of another. That's the job of the Creator himself. So regardless of one's opinions on that, the government is under all circumstances not only criminal, the government is exposing itself as severely mentally ill, and it is also, with regard to this prosecution and this investigation, it is exactly as I stated it, okay? And this is exactly what the evidence shows, and it is relevant to the policies that I have already put forth. The entity that's gang stalking is the entity that's going to be subject to diagnosis, and that same criminal activity is going to be used to diagnose severe mental illness, not just relevant, we need to test, and well, yes, you need to test and diagnose, but the evidence itself is the proof of severe mental instability. And that is relevant to all the ways in which that entity is going to be criminally prosecuted and civilly prosecuted. And it's also relevant to the justice that an American citizen is entitled to, where a population this unstable is targeting an American citizen and then seeking to criminally defame that person. Okay, that's what you are paying attention to when this entity is stalking me as an airport. This is the world witnessing the fact that that police department, they're stalkers. And they're caught as stalkers. And while they're exposed as stalkers, they've engaged in violent acts against me because they are stalking me and abusing their positions, and then engaging in what is referred to and what will be understood under the law as criminal defamation. While you're stalking me and conspiring my murder, you criminally defame my character to get away with my murder, which you have planned to commit with psychopaths like a whole airport, keeping me under surveillance. This is P.O.C. Jason Isaac Fields is going to federal prison while you're looking at the evidence of mental illness, stalking in a commercial plane, stalking as an airport, stalking as a population, stalking with light. You need to understand that that is directly relevant to the mental illness of Jason Fields, that desperation, that extreme conduct, that ongoing delusional continuation. That is the same purpose, the same position, the same criminal cooperative conduct by the entity that Jason Fields remains a part of. And he is a demon, and he is severely mentally ill. While you're looking at it, this is demonstrating the mental illness that is on the outside of all of them now. They're not hiding it. They're also not hiding the fact that they're stalking. All right? They're not hiding their mental illness. And this is relevant to Tracy Banks. She's a stalker, and she's been stalking her own relative. The relative, that is myself, the one that she wants to be, while she's obsessively defaming me, making up information that actually pertains to the details of what she lives her life as, to who she is, and to the things that she's done, while she has been obsessively stalking me my entire life. And I mean that. So I mean, when I'm going to school, she's a psychopath stalking me as I walk home with the rest of the school kids. Instead of walking home and holding my hand like a regular mother, she's a psycho that would engage in stalking, following me home in some surreptitious manner as I'm walking around with kids and talking and walking home with me and Eric Spencer, who is again a family member of mine and not necessarily my brother, as this entity has represented to me. All right, we may be blood related, but this may or may not even be my real actual brother. So this is what is Tracy Banks' mental state when you're looking at the entity stalking me by commercial planes. Jason Fields and Tracy Banks are gang leaders engaging in this pattern of conduct. They are the ones who are compensating a government that's keeping me under surveillance. This is also relevant to the unlawful threat posed to my life. While you are engaged in delusional, mentally depraved behavior that you are so willingly to commit, even on video and before the whole world, and it's going to be played in a courtroom for a federal judge to render judgment on, you disregard that because you're being paid for it, and that's not going to be missed also at a prosecution. And with regard to what is testimony evidence regarding how mentally ill you are. And there is no anonymity. Every demon that's operating these planes, every airline engaged in what are using those planes in order to target me, everyone being compensated that for engaging what is targeting me regardless of the consequences, it's directly relevant to prosecution. Directly relevant. So I just wanted to state what you're listening to, what you're looking at on the Google Drive, what I've been documenting for years, impunity. This is impunity that is directly relevant to who are the ones who have kidnapped me and muddied my name all over the internet. And this government is going to clean every speck of it up and leave my name back, put it back the way that they found it, immaculate. Okay, this is an entity that's been defaming me while you're stalking me. And this is what Tracy Banks is. She's a stalker. This is what the Ontario Police Department are. They're stalkers. And that's what Jason Isaac Fields is. He's a stalker. And they've been worshiping me, my vagina, and my money and property. And that is what is going to be dealt with. And that's while the entity is engaged in what is dipping and diving and following and stalking and doing it as it's being documented, that's exactly the level of detail that the federal judges are always going to pay attention to. This is not only just prosecuting them, this is establishing precedent. This is informing legislation. Alrighty, and it is 9:38 p.m. and it is also P.O.C. License plate. The people of the state gang stalking at 7-Eleven located at 731 South Euclid Avenue. License 8TCK 815 9PXJ 2171 7K Robert 909. They're engaging in surveillance with 7-Eleven that is also stalking, and so is its employees. License 6 Bob Nancy Charlie 894, Latino male, exiting the vehicle, engaging in surveillance, lying in wait. License 5J WJ 352, DF69J08, paper plate. License 8U80045. This is P.O.C. 7-Eleven, again, is engaged in criminal surveillance, and this 7-Eleven in particular engaged in the pattern of conduct with the City of Ontario and with its demon-possessed gang stalking third-party customers, going in and out of that venue to engage in what is criminal surveillance and furtherance of murder, harassment, and doing so on behalf of the same government that's 1 second stalking and then thinking that the people of the state are going to be exempted from being prosecuted right along with them, and that's the ongoing CEASELESS P.O.C. They're engaging in surveillance, psychopathic conduct, lying in wait in a parking lot waiting for somebody that they know is coming while they are stalking in an environment such as having a fake son over me, while demons are engaged in the certifiable conduct of stalking as a population who together commit murder. P.O.C. It's currently 9:43 p.m.